This is the Motivated Business Show, hosted by me, Mark Terrell, the author of Motivated, the Reluctant Leader's Guide to Building a Business that Sets You Free. In my book, I share the 7-step process to get the measure of your business. M.E.A.S.U.R.E is an acronym that stands for Mirror, Evaluate, Action, Systemize, Unify, Review, and Energize. On each episode, I'll be chatting to a business owner about how they stay motivated and how they've got the measure of their business. So without further ado, let's find out who's joining me on this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Motivated Business Show with me, Mark Terrell. Today's guest I've met quite recently, actually, networking, and we've had various one-to-ones, and I love the way she sort of talks about the way she does things, and so looking forward to the conversation we're going to have. Before we do that though, just to remind you that towards the end of the podcast, I will mention the 7-step process, which I share in my book, which is Motivated. And also, if you would like to contribute to the podcast, we're not sponsored. So what we need is people just to contribute a little bit to keep things moving forward and keep the wheels in motion, as it were. So you can do that by buying me a coffee. And if you buy me 2 coffees, and you can do that by just scanning that QR code, then I will send you a copy of my book as a thank you for that. So hopefully that's an incentive to get you to just put your hand in your pocket, and as a recompense you'll get a copy of my book. Right, without further ado then, let's bring our guest on today. Morning, Kate.
Hello, good morning. Hi, Mark.
Looking forward to our conversation, Kate. Just before we do that though, let's give you the opportunity to introduce yourself properly.
Hello, my name is Kate Fox from Fox Graphics Design and Marketing. I guide businesses to be noticed and raise their game by using design, brand and marketing strategies, which enables them to get ahead of their competition and triple in turnover.
Brilliant. Great. Okay, so Kate, I think the first place we should start is what got you into all this branding and marketing stuff?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. I've always been a creative all my life. It's part of the oxygen in and how I operate. Everything I've done in my past has had a design element to it. But I found myself sort of in my late 30s with recovering from a major operation. I had a 4-year-old daughter, and well, she was about 6 by then, and getting divorced. And I thought, what can I do? I used to be in hotel and catering. I can't do 100 hours a week, bring up a daughter, So I went to my local college to learn how to switch on a computer. And 6 years later, I came out of Manchester Met University with a first-class degree in graphic design. And my professor I said to her, what shall I do? Go and work for a big agency? Or, what do you think? And he said, plough your own furrow. So I said, does that mean I have to start my own business? Because I didn't want to start my own business. And he said, yeah. And I went, okay. So it fitted in with children and, school running and trips and all the rest of it and being available. So because I work from home, I started in 2008, not knowing it was a recession. And I just worked hard and worked like mad. And that was 16 years ago. And I've evolved from being, I'm a high-end designer, but I've evolved now into being a competent marketeer. Because about 8 years ago, I started doing marketing for my clients because they wanted somebody in their business that got them and was able to resonate with how their business was developing into the next 10, 15 years. So that's where I am now. So I'm an unusual, very... somebody once said I was a very rare person because I could do the marketing side, but I also do the design side. You get 2 for the price of 1.
Fabulous. So I was just thinking back to 2008. There's quite a big financial crash in 2008. You would have thought it'd be an ideal time to start a business. But I think what you learn over time is actually there's never a perfect time. There
True.
might be some storms going on, but the storms always pass, and so
Well,
we get over them.
we had that with COVID. I mean,
Mm,
and just after COVID, people started businesses, and people were saying in business, they were saying, if you're going to do it, now is an ideal opportunity.
mm,
So,
mm.
seems to be a thing.
Yeah, yeah. So let's delve into the marketing and branding and all the stuff you do then. So what are you seeing that is the particular trend at the moment? Obviously, there's lots of digital marketing going on that we're bombarded with. But what's the trends that you see in the work that you do?
I'm beginning the trend I'm picking up more recently, which I'm pleased about, is that because of the level of saturation visually and on the marketing with the social media. I mean, for example, when I started 16, 17 years ago, for marketing, it was 11 points, um, uh, 11 points of contact before people would commit to purchase,
Mm.
whereas now it's 44 points of contact. So
Wow.
um, that means it's quadruple the amount of visibility. And that's mainly because of digital. And basically, because we've been saturated, what the trend that I'm getting more and more now is that people are coming back to realizing that actually it's a bit like we've all been using digital, and now people are picking up the phone. And I think that from a marketing and design point of view, I'm now getting conversations, which leads into one of these points, which is I don't want to be the same as everybody else. I want to be different, and I
Mm.
realise now I have to invest in being different. And I'm getting people coming to me saying, I don't want I don't want AI doing this. I don't want AI telling me or digital telling me how to do things. I want somebody that I trust, and I want somebody who I resonate with, and I want my business to be polished up and
Mm.
presented differently and professionally so that they win the business. And it's all about how to not be the same as everybody else.
Mm.
So the trend is quality.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it absolutely. And we had a
That makes
conversation, but
sense.
yeah, it does. And we had a conversation before we went live, and I sort of give you my sort of view on the difference between marketing and advertising. Because back in the day when I was a retailer, we did a lot of advertising, but what we didn't do was a lot of marketing. And the thing that I see as the difference between marketing and advertising, because most people associate marketing with advertising and selling something. Marketing's about values and portraying your values so that people actually can feel them and see them, and you show up regularly. And I alluded to the fact that my staff were part of my marketing, and if they obviously
Mm.
showed up in the wrong way, then the marketing basically falls down flat. So I see marketing as a very much a values exercise. I just wonder whether you're sort of on the same page as me with regards to that.
I'd say yes. Branding is definitely. I mean, when I do the brand strategy workshops and I do it on an individual basis with
Mm.
companies, we we dive we 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 start off with the uh, the process is getting to understand the whole business, but we start off with a marketing message, not the branding, not the colours or the font or the logo,
Mm.
but the communication. And we also have a list of describing words and value words, and I give those to my clients, and I say circle five of those that you think are your top values, and
Mm.
every single one is different
Yeah.
because every single person and every business is set up on a different foundation.
Yeah.
And I think it is essential that you take that into account, because it's no good one somebody at the top having this is what the business is and this is how it's set up, but not filtering through all the way into every. It just as much as you would with the logo, you put it on every touch point. You put your values on every touch point in your business, and we were saying earlier, even down to your recruitment process and who you recruit. And if they don't, I mean, in the olden days, you'd say something like, uh, "No, those aren't they're not the right fit for our company. I've heard that from MDs before. No, I don't think we'll work with them. They're not the right fit. But if you've got something substantial that everybody knows that these are the values and this is what we're all aiming for, then it makes everything more streamlined, and everybody's singing from the same hymn sheet. The one-liner marketing message that we do in the marketing consultations, the guy in New York who I share the video that he does. What he does is he goes out, I'm talking about staff, he goes out at the end of it when he's learnt his one-liner marketing message. He tests it out on people, and then he decides what it is, and then he wrote it down and gave it to every member of staff that he had. And he says in this video, he went out and went to the bank and got a whole stack of $5 notes. And every time he heard a member of staff pick up the phone and say the message correctly, they got a $5 bill. And he said at the end of it, and I loved this, he said at the end of it, I converted all my employees into salespeople.
Yeah.
And they all said exactly the same. And those words are just as important as your logo. And when I came on today, I said my one-liner, which is we guide businesses. Da, 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 da. I've been saying that for 3 years now, 4 years. And people come up to me and they go, you're that funny woman who says that you can triple in turnover people's business, and you raise their game. And the key thing is that because it's repeated, and if I had 100 staff and they all said the same thing, we'd all be saying the same brand every time and converting into a sales team. So it's a bit like a stick of rock. Branding goes through every part of your business.
One of the conundrums the conundrums I see with regards to marketing in general and branding is that we all need to be the same, in that people need to understand what we do, particularly if we're a service-based organisation, but we also need to be different. So sometimes, because people need to associate us with something so they understand the service that we provide. It's like, an accountant, we know what accountants do, but then not every accountant's the same, isn't it? So it's about, yes, we are an accountant, but actually we're different in that we do things in this way. And it's those ways we do things that makes you stand out, and that's makes you different, isn't it? So I just wonder whether there's other ways that you see as how people can stand out and be a bit more visible with regards to, what we've just been talking about, their way of doing things, I suppose you could say.
Well, being a designer, I mean, initially, the best way to stand out is to have interesting, different video content or animation or images, to be true to your values or turn things upside. There is a term, guerrilla marketing, which is very controversial, and it's in your face, it's massive and it's different, and it can be totally nothing to do with your business, but it gets you noticed. There was a shop that did it, Benetton used to be like that. You'd walk past the shop window and you'd go into shock horror because of the image that they had. And there was a message and there was a reason, and they had their own. You didn't necessarily agreed with it, and you might quite like their product, or go and buy a jumper or something. But they were all about shocking people into knowing what was going on in the world. And they were different. Whether you liked it or not was beside the point. But I think that what I do say to my clients is that, let's find a way of differentiating you and your business from everybody else. So whatever everybody else is doing, don't do it. Be comfortable outside your comfort zone. And what people say to me, they've said for years, what sort of introductions can we give you? What sort of people would you like to work with? And for me, the best ones have always been the forward thinking maverick entrepreneurial businessmen who or women who come and they go, why not? Let's
Mm.
do it. What if? Why can't we? And those are my gold dust. And I've had quite a few of those. And I've come up with weird and wonderful potty ideas. And they've gone, oh God, I love it. And then how much is this going to cost me? Oh my goodness me. But what it's done, when we've done these things, it's become a talking point and they've been noticed. And it's safer to just be the same as everybody else. But more and more now, you have to be different. And a key word that I constantly bang on about, and you might have seen this recently, being authentic. Because now we're going to be overrun, if we are not already overrun, with samey stuff all the time. To be yourself and to be your own business and to be different and be able to be prepared to put your head above the parapet, um, it's got to be a good thing.
Yeah.
And I started last week, I think it was, I've started doing a series of interviews, of 5-minute interviews with people called Authentic You series. And basically we talk about everything except for the business. And after the first one went out, I've got another 10 people who want to do it because it's different.
Yeah.
And people's going, what is Kate doing? She's doing, no one else has done that. Well, that's why I want to do it, because no one else has done it. So I'm being authentic and I'm introducing other people who are authentic. And this goes from a small business right up to Unilevers, your big companies. I tend to work with medium-sized companies, so from 1 to 60, 65 million turnover is perfect for me. But why can't we be adventurous and be different? We don't have to be the same as everybody else.
No. I was going to ask you
Does that
there.
make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I was going to go back to what you said. Reminded me of what Richard Branson says. It's when he started many of his businesses. It was his comment was like, "Screw it, let's do it," sort of thing. So there might not be much sense in what we're doing here, but actually there's something
I've
that
not heard
drives
that
me.
one before.
There's something that drives me to do this, and that's his philosophy in business in particular, isn't it?
I think you can be more passionate. If you're being adventurous, you put 150% behind it and you're more passionate about it. So that will come across
Yeah.
instead of being, buy my stuff, I'm good at this.
It's one of the conundrums that people have when they buy a franchise, is that a franchise might be a model that's proven and you can just replicate what somebody else has done, but over time that actually becomes like a straitjacket to you, because yes, the processes and all that sort of stuff is fine, but actually there's a person here that wants to be different and stand out, and we do all want to stand out in our own way. We might not be extroverted and want to be extroverted for the sake of it, but actually what we want to be is appreciated for why we're different and why we do things, and goes back to that values thing, isn't it? So Kate, I wonder whether it'd be a good idea just to give us a bit of an overview of that sort of process you go through with a business when they come to you with regards to creating a brand, or if someone has decided that it's time for a rebrand. What are the elements that you start looking at in that process?
Okay. The process that I have developed over the years, which I won't go into too much detail, but I've also evolved that into the marketing strategy. And from a design and branding point of view, what I have learned is that by getting the information and doing the foundation first helps with the design and makes it smoother and easier to get the right design, or if not first time, but almost there the first time. And it's probably a big secret in my industry, but I did do this presentation a few years ago, and somebody in my industry phoned me up and he said, "That was brilliant. I don't do all that." And I thought, I've just taught my competition how to do it. So basically, I start off with, I ask the basic questions, which is, what what is your business? Who is running the business? How does it work? Uh, Basically, the who, what, why, when, and where. And get that it's I think it used to be an H with the how, like a hockey thing, and then the five W's. Do you remember that
I
about
don't, but
living?
yeah,
But anyway,
but yeah,
it
I have
basically
to
it's
look
the
it up.
who, the what, the why, the where, and the when, and the how. And once I've got that information, I absorb all that information, and by listening to them, I then get a feel of the essence and the values of the business. And when I learnt this years ago, they didn't have a word, descriptive word. You just did this because to be able to design, you have to get under the skin of the people and the business. And then I ask certain questions. Uh, uh, are you traditional, or would you consider yourself traditional or contemporary? Um, I show them either they pick three brandings they hate, or three that they love. And quite often I will show them a sheet of paper which has got maybe about 20 of my branding on that I've done, and they're all different. And every time I could have a workshop with 10 people in and show the same image and say, pick three you like and three you hate. Don't think about it, just go, hate that, love that, da 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 da. And then they feed that back to me. From the three they hate and the three they like, I have a very, very clear direction of which way they're going to I'm going to develop their branding. If it's a rebrand, then I look at what has worked up until now. I ask the questions about where where they're going to take the business, where basically where they want to be in 15 years' time. Because most businesses come to me when they have reached a point where they say, I'm not being noticed. I need to raise my game. I'm very good at what I do. We're very good. We know we're better than our competition, but we're losing out on tenders, we're losing out on business because we're not being taken seriously. So then I assess what works, what doesn't work, and then design and position in marketing or design for where they're going to be in 10 or 15 years' time. And I used the analogy recently to somebody and it sort of stuck, which is I give them the shoes for them to grow into.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, I think from my experience, like 30 years in a retail business, where yeah we were part of a buying group, so we used as somebody else's brand. But I think as you progress and as things change, and particularly in a family business, I think your values change, the things you want to do change. So that's the time when you need to start thinking about rebranding, because it's almost like the existing sort of clothing doesn't really fit anymore. You need to have something that fits into what you're trying to achieve. And I like the
Yeah.
analogy with the shoe. So it's like feeling comfortable in what you go out in. It's like, we all know the feeling when you've put on the wrong thing for the event you're going to. You just feel uncomfortable, don't you? Whereas if you've got the right clothes on and you just feel in the right sort of you've got the right things on and you feel that you fit
Yeah.
in. So
It's confidence
yeah.
as well. Um I've started talking again about the clarity in your business, and confidence and clarity go hand in hand with with the branding and the marketing. Because if you're not confident in and you're not comfy with your business, then that will come over whether you're going in on a one-to-one, pitching or getting a tender or um, uh, networking. or whatever, if you're not comfy in it and you don't feel confident and you haven't got the clarity, um, uh, that will come across, and people know that. They understand that, it's like an animal instinct thing. It's a
Mhm.
bit like people say, when you're networking, people go, how's business? And there's analogy that there's a situation where people sort of say, oh well, I'm very, very busy, I'm very, very busy, and you know damn well they're not. But if you turn around and and you turn around and you say, there's a funny noise on my mic. Have you got a funny noise on your mic?
No.
No, I can hear anyway. um what was I going to say now? They so But also, if they turn around and go, oh, it's terrible, business is awful, oh, I'm so depressing, I don't know what I'm going to do, you're going to push people away from you anyway. So it's a very difficult, as long as you are, it's back to the clothes and the shoes. As long as you're confident and you've got that clarity in your business, and you can take a deep breath and project the right message. And
Mhm.
it comes down to everything: how you look, how you behave, how you communicate. All that is very important, and it's all part of the brand and part of
Mhm.
the marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly, Kate, time is running away from us. So I'm going to give you the opportunity now to sit back for a couple of minutes. I'm going to share the 7-step model and just connect with what we've already shared with the 7 steps. So you're not familiar. This is the 7-step measure process, which starts here, which is M for mirror, understanding yourself. And I think when you are going to go into any business, and particularly when you want to work with someone like Kate with regards to branding, you've got to know yourself. You've got to know why you're doing what you're doing. So understanding yourself, understanding your motivations, understanding your personality style, and also your character strengths as well, are all part of the mix with regards to why you're going to do what you're going to do, and also at the same point when you're thinking about a rebrand, understanding yourself is key, and also the team around you as well. So everything starts with understanding yourself, and then we move through the 7 steps, evaluating from where you are now or where you want to be. So again, evaluating with regards to, is your marketing branding actually still working for you? And if it's not, then again, something that Kate can help you with. And sometimes we need to put things into action. So we need to do things and test things out. And I think a lot of what we do, we can assume we've done the right things, but it's not until we actually put it out into the marketplace that we actually see the results of what we've done and whether it's working. So action is important. And once those actions have proved themselves, then the thing to do then is to systemize things. So make sure that it's consistent. And we're not talking just about the processes that run the business. We're also thinking about, like Kate talked about, with regards to making sure everyone has the same message within a business and systemizing that so everyone's on the same page. And then once we go through that, and that this is the process that you go through many, many times. These last 3 steps are about building a team around your vision and ultimately energizing others so that they carry on your vision and also get their input into what you're doing, and also take responsibility for things that go on from that. So I want to talk about a few things that Kate's talked about with regards to what she does. Firstly, these are the 9 motivations to work. So we all are all 9. We're all a combination of all 9. What we need to find out is which ones are the most important to us and which ones are the least important. And what I see quite often with the business owners I work with who are struggling maybe to get their message out is that they have this one as quite a low drive. So the star is about seeking recognition and social esteem. So it's about getting noticed. So if you don't want to get noticed, then that can be something that's really helping you, holding you back. And so again, when we talk about what Kate's been sharing, it's about finding something that makes you feel comfortable about what you share, so you're not feeling uncomfortable. And so you might never get over the fact that you don't really want to promote yourself, but actually once you get a branding, marketing sort of collateral that actually makes you feel really comfortable, then you can actually find a way over that. Just think about the motivations to start a business. A lot of people, and Kate's probably alluded to the fact that she started because she needed a way of having a freedom with regards to the way she does things, and having the time that she spent was important with regards to bringing up a family at the same time. So spirit's a driver for many with regards to finding something that they can do their own way and also have control over their time. Whether they actually save time and spend less time is debatable, but the important thing here is a high spirit wants to do things that are in their own way, and they want to be able to have control over their time. So one of the things that we've got to remember with regards to someone's high spirit is making sure that that doesn't become a problem, in that they are not collaborating with others. So there's always a downside to all these motivators, and not forgetting, as we're talking about marketing, the creative side. Being creative is a key. If you're in that industry, I would pretty much guarantee that Kate's a high creator, so wants innovative and new ideas and bring those into business. So there's a little bit of an overview with regards to motivations. Any comments you got with regards to what I shared there, Kate?
No, it's all very relevant, and yes, I related very much to it. Thank you.
Good stuff. Just before you go then, I was just going to ask you about sort of common challenges people have with regards to, branding and rebranding.
Common challenges.
Mm.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask about which branding I liked.
Well,
okay.
you can talk about that as well, because yeah.
My biggest challenge is, and I learned this very early on, is that I'm actually 2% of the population is visible. Mm-hmm. So as a creative, so the biggest challenge is getting businesses, people to accept that it's not their thing. So let us creatives do it for them, and mm-hmm. you concentrate on what you're good at, because it isn't. I've had a few clients that have actually had a go at doing things themselves, and they've come to me eventually and go, "Oh, I don't know how you do this. Right, you do it now. Thanks, Kate." Yeah. And even so, that's one of the hurdles is getting people to accept that employ somebody who has that skill set. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And the other challenge is, that I get from clients, is to get over the fact that this isn't a cost, this is an investment. Mm-hmm. And the businesses, and I've had this, businesses that invest in branding at the early stages, I had one in particular I can prove, I can say, started off, invested in branding right at the beginning, and within 2 years he jumped 5 years in his business because he had that visual solid base to start the business with. So if you're starting a business, allocate money, a budget to invest in branding, not just your website, but do the branding and your website, because that will catapult your business 5-6 years ahead than otherwise. People come to me at 18 months, 2 years, and say, mm-hmm. I now get it. It's an investment. I need to do it. So it's a mindset thing.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the great guru of business, Peter Drucker. What did he say about marketing?
Oh, he did. Hang on, I have it in your book. Look, I have it in your book. Now, when I was reading this, I was punching the air when I read this. Peter Drucker said, there are only two things in a business that make money: innovation and marketing. Everything else is cost. I loved that when I read it. I was so excited. And there were other quotes as well, but I don't think we've got time anymore now.
No.
Have we got time for
Well,
this?
as the important thing is that it's, like as you say, it's an investment, and if you make the right investment, then it will pay off in the long run. So yes,
Absolutely. I have, and the last thing I'll say is I actually have quite a selection of businesses that invested 10, 15, 16, 17 years ago, and the branding still is as fresh and as relevant as it was when I first did it. Brilliant. And they've got their money back from it. My goodness, in fact, it would be 4 times the price now.
Yeah.
So it is an investment, and it is something for the long term. It's not, and don't, whoever you work with, do not allow them to do designing by trend.
No.
Because anything that's trendy will only last you 3 years.
Yeah, and it's not about you. It's not your values, is it? That's the key that I've learned, is it's got to be something that you believe in, and copying someone else never really sticks, does it? Kate, thank you so much for your time. We've gone a bit over our normal allocation time, but I think it's such a big topic. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
We've not even touched on it, but
no,
I think
you haven't.
It's been a very good overall one.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think we've touched on the important points. That's it, and that's all we really need to do on a podcast. So thank you again for your time, and hopefully catch up with you very soon.
I'll see you soon. Thank you for having me.
So there you are. Kate is all into branding, marketing, and graphics. So get in touch with Kate if you think that your brand, whether you need a brand or whether you need to rebrand, then speak to Kate. She has some fantastic knowledge, and I'm sure she could help you. So let's just share a few things just before we go. Just a reminder, the book that you can buy either from me or from Amazon, and you can also get a copy by buying me a couple of cups of coffee, would you believe? So you can do that by scanning that QR code, go to the Buy Me a Coffee website, and then once you've bought 2 coffees, you just need to get in touch to say you've done that, and I will send you a copy of my book. So thank you again for those that have joined live, and if you catch this on replay, don't hesitate to ask any questions that you'd like myself or Kate to answer. And for now, we'll see you very shortly on the next episode of the show. Take care, and we'll see you next time.